Clearly remember sitting in Mr. Andler's 8th grade science class at Belding School back in none of your business, doing my best not to nod off and turn my desk into a wading pool of drool as the room was dark and the hum of the movie projector drummed our class into a near coma-like state. Those black and white instructional movies and everything from personal hygiene, the required number of brushstrokes to really get your teeth clean is 64, to the responsible way to cross the street, look both ways of course, to what happens when you visit the doctor for a checkup, was a great way to give the teacher a chance to nap with their eyes open and the rest of us time to write notes to each other and pass them along in the dark, the forerunner of today's texting, if you will. But back to that doctor checkup movie. The kid would come into the office wearing his best plaid shirt and crisp jeans, crew cut, generic gee whiz grin, jump on the examination table, which covered with a thin piece of paper. Apparently back then was the most antiseptic way to keep butt sweat off leather. The doc would come in looking like Groucho Marx in his later years, receding hairline and rimmed glasses and the required stethoscope hung over his neck. The conversation was narrated by a voice that was a cross between Rod Serling, "Johnny has to get a checkup, and he has entered the doctor's office," and James Earl Jones, who would say, "Stick out your tongue and say, aw." The high point, of course, on the on-screen exam was when Groucho MD hit little Johnny's knee with that little rubber hammer in just the right spot, and instantly his foot rose up in a reflex action. 1 inch to the left or 1 inch to the right, nothing. But hit that sweet spot, up goes the leg, hopefully out of the range of Dr. Groucho's crotch. After the latest media circus around breaking news, a thought came to me. We are a world of knee-jerks when there's no shortage of hammers. Ebola, Obama, Bush, Ebola, Nazis that are expelled from the U.S., Ebola, Obama, Secret Service, giant spiders, Roman clowns, Republicans, Democrats, ISIS, crisis, Jay Cutler, Koch brothers, beheadings. Did I mention Ebola, Fox News, Obama, Ray Rice, Condi Rice, serial killer, Henry Miller, hamburger filler, Phyllis Diller, missing planes, exploding trains, toxic rains, Natalie Maines, passing lanes. Obama. Teacher strikes, climate change, 8-year-old kills an instructor at a shooting range, another school shooting. The dance marathon goes on and on and on. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but somewhere in there, Obama's causing all this. We all have our sweet spots, and when something comes along, be it a gentle tap or a resounding smack, bam, up goes our leg, and along with it, endless ongoing arguments, opinions, bloviating, speculating, and commiserating until we wear ourselves out, until the next predictable but not preventable human activity that rubs our rhubarb, torques our bolts, skewers our shish kebab, or gets our collective undies in a bundle, and wham, our knee starts jerking all over again. I often wonder if we gave as much attention to the things we can change as we do to the things we can't change, how much different our lives would be. For me, when the world gets to be too much, I turn to something that makes it all better. I write this blog. If nothing else, the words that come out of me drain from someplace in the back of my brain, that file drawer that's marked, "Are you freaking kidding me?" And slowly, all the lower level activity that humans come up with every day starts to just drain out. We've been treating each other badly since some ancient ancestor picked up a rock and threw it at one of its companions as a show of force. We are a species that forgets our history, so we keep repeating it. Every president has lied in the eyes of some voter. The world is filled with dangerous whack jobs that have sliced, diced, chopped, and annihilated another member of the human species for fun. Heads will roll? That started 1,000 years ago when the samurai lopped off their enemies' noggins. And the fact that it still takes place reminds me that someone at the lower end of the DNA strand just didn't get the memo. As much as I'd like to, I cannot stop the onslaught of horrible human behavior, ridiculous political punditry, or rudderless wealthy athletes knocking out their significant other in an elevator. The news media, which at one time was the most trusted source of information, has become a mindless corporate conglomerate of outlets spewing forth the latest police blotter that aims at our central nervous system smack dab and sets it on fire with news we can't possibly really use. I've often thought Walter Cronkite is spinning his grave like a pinwheel. The toll it takes on our souls is great. The incredible gift of life we have is forgotten as we wade through the human-induced cesspool that we all end up creating. And we've forgotten our gene pool and mixed it up with the cesspool. and the odds of even showing up on the planet are amazing. Here's a few points of reference, courtesy of improvisational news. The odds of writing a New York Times bestseller, 1 in 220. When I get there, I'll let you know. The odds of bowling a 300 game, 1 in 11,500. The odds of winning an Academy Award, I'd like to thank everybody but you, 1 in 11,500. Odds of being hit by lightning, 1 in 576,000. The odds of becoming president of the United States of America, 1 in 10 million. The odds of winning a $340 million jackpot in Mega Millions, about 1 in 175 million bucks. Now, the odds of you being born at this particular time and place and circumstance is 1 in 6 times 10 to the 100th power, or something like 1 in 6 so many zeros I would put you to sleep if I read them all. In other words, the predicted likelihood in the past of you being born is essentially 0. Even if we were considering this possibility only a short 250 years before your birth. So here we all are, all 7 billion of us miracles, crawling around a tiny blue sphere that hangs in space and goes about all its natural systems without our permission. We are kept alive in a biosphere of unseen gases and are no more or less important than any other life form. We just think we are. We take life for granted until something comes along to wake us up, distracted as we are with whatever feeding frenzy the media has cooked up to remind us how awful life really is. Every single day, 358,192 people are born. Miracles, really. They just show up, no matter what's going on in the world. Proof to me that life hasn't quite given up on us yet as a species, even if it looks like we have because of the news. However, just a little digging reveals golden nuggets that are the antidote to the erosion of life. A tough cop adopts 2 boys and rescues them from an abusive home. An 8-year-old with Down syndrome scores a touchdown while the fans cheer him on. A housing unit gives seniors reduced rent for spending time with foster kids. A billionaire donates $100 million to shut down Ebola. A teen sleeps outside for a year to call attention to the homeless. A woman in England sees a story about a man in Houston who needs a kidney and saves his life by donating one of hers to a complete stranger. As my pal Wayne Dyer said so accurately, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. Way back in Mr. Andler's 8th grade science class, we learned a term called life expectancy, which is how long a specific organism lives from birth until death. As I've gotten older, with more yesterdays than tomorrows, I am more focused on the expectancy of life, which is the ability to discern and disconnect from influences and events and people that would diminish my very short time here on Earth. I keep my knee-jerking to a minimum and let go where I used to hang on, and that has made all the difference. There are hammers of distraction, and there are hammers of redemption. How we act is more important than how we react. As I've said on many occasions, from behind the microphone or on the stage, perhaps we can't change the world, but perhaps it's more important that we don't let the world change us.